Hey guys, it's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics, and we're going to do a video today. We're in the middle of the week going into week 2, and we're going to do a pick'em video against the line. College football, mainly these are Power 5 teams. There's also some groups of 5 participants that we're also going to have on here, ones that are more significant games.
Right.
Anyway, we're just going to start with Friday's games. There's about 4 games on Friday. The first one is William and Mary at Virginia. Virginia is giving up 34.5 points, which is a lot of points, and we decided William and Mary is the pick on that one.
Yeah, Virginia had a great week last week. You know, they beat Pitt 30-14, I believe. But 34 is a lot of points to give a team. We got William and Mary covering.
Right. Wake Forest at Rice. This is an interesting game because you got Wake Forest giving 19 points on the road. We like Rice covering that. I thought they looked very good against Army, and I don't think they're going to win, but I think they will cover 19 points, definitely. Next one may be the game on Friday, Marshall at Boise State, just because Boise State seems to be a team a lot of people are interested in. They're giving 12 points, Boise State at home, and we like them to cover that.
Yeah, this point spread's kind of crawled around quite a bit. I think earlier in the week we probably all should have jumped on it. I think it was 10 points at the time.
Right.
Now it's up to 12. I still think they're going to cover that spread, but being at home, ruckus environment, that was a great place to start, and 12 points is still a good place to place a bet.
And the last one on Friday, we got Sacramento State at Arizona State. Arizona State's giving up 36 points, which is a lot, but we like them to cover. We think their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, looked really sharp. The freshman quarterback, I thought, looked really good last week. Again, was it Kent State they beat?
Yeah, they beat Kent State 30-7 last week.
So they're going to have to score more than that to cover,
but
we think they will.
Turn it on a little bit more, but I think Jaden Daniels and Eno Benjamin will get their season started on a good pulse this week against Sacramento State.
Moving on to Saturday, we got Ohio University at Pitt. Pitt's only given up 5.5 points, and we do like them to cover that at home. West Virginia at Missouri. Missouri's giving 13.5 points, and we like Missouri covering that one. West Virginia has not impressed me. It just looks like they don't have the guns this year.
Right.
And I think they may be in the cellar in the Big 12, but we like Missouri bouncing back after last week's loss to cover that 13.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, going into the season, I had Missouri in the top 25. And last week they lose to Wyoming. It was on the road, but you know, with the amount of attrition West Virginia had over the offseason, with so many transfers, they lost their quarterback to the NFL and some different players across their roster as well as their coach. I really like Missouri at home in this one. Yeah,
we do. Charleston Southern at South Carolina, a battle in the South. South Carolina's given up a lot of points, 40-point line, and we like Charleston Southern to cover that. It's just I don't know if South Carolina's going to have enough offense. They got a backup quarterback playing, I believe.
Right.
Their starters injured.
The starter actually, I guess he hurt his foot on the last play of the game against North Carolina last week, and he might be out for the season. Yeah. And you know, giving 40 points to a backup quarterback is kind of a lot to ask of the first game to play. So we're going to go.
We like Charleston Southern on that one.
Yeah, Charleston
getting the
Southern
big number. The next one is actually one of Drew's lock picks. It's Vanderbilt at Purdue. Purdue's giving up 7 points. So Purdue -7. Drew likes Vanderbilt to win outright. So to cover and win outright on that one with Vanderbilt. Moving on, this is really, I think, one of the best games of the week. Syracuse at Maryland. Just because these teams seem to be on the rise, both of them, and I think they're both are going to make some noise in their respective conferences. Maryland's only given 2 points, so you can see the odds makers believe it's going to be very close. We do like Maryland covering that outright.
Right, so, I believe Maryland will actually, win that game. I think they're favored by 2 in this game.
Yeah, it's 2 points.
I think they're a good team this year. Their offense is very good. They showed that against, I know it was Howard, but they showed that they could put up some points quick.
They did put up a lot of points.
I just like them at home this week.
I got another ACC team, Old Dominion at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's given up 4 touchdowns, and we like Old Dominion to cover that line.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened last year. You know, Virginia goes on the road to Old Dominion, actually gets upset.
Yeah.
They get upset by Old Dominion.
We're not saying that's going to happen.
Not saying that's going to happen,
but I do think we think Old Dominion is definitely going to cover that. Army at Michigan. This is another great game of two old schools going after it. Michigan's given 22.5 points. We think Army's going to cover that.
Yeah. You know, looking at last week, I believe they gave up like 64 rushing yards to Middle Tennessee last week, and Army's a rushing team. They're
Right.
triple option. And
A little bit different defending that, and
it's hard to defend that, but you know, it's going to be hard for them. But you know, I think we're going to have them cover it this week.
Yeah, Army getting 22.5. We like Army.
Yeah.
Bowling Green at Kansas State. Kansas State's minus 24. We do like Kansas State to cover that at home. I think they look like they're one of those teams in the middle in the Big 12 that might make some noise depending on what happens here in the next few games. We got us a Big 10 matchup, which I really like these early season conference matchups. Rutgers at Iowa. Iowa's giving they're minus 20.5, so they're giving up almost 3 touchdowns. We like Rutgers to cover that on the road.
Right.
They seem much better this year, Rutgers.
Yeah, they do. They do, and you know, Iowa they lost 2 first-round tight ends to the NFL, and I believe Nate Stanley's still there at quarterback. But they've never had a great offense as far as scoring points goes,
Right.
and I just think Rutgers has gotten a little bit better, and their defense isn't bad. I think they're going to cover this week.
Cincinnati at Ohio State, so big game there. Cincinnati's looked real good. Ohio State's minus 16, and we do like Ohio State to cover that line at home.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a competitive game, at least through maybe the first half or so.
I agree.
Cincinnati's got a great team for a Group of 5 team, but I think the line's 16 points. I think 17 is the number that Ohio State will win this game by.
Right.
So I think they're going to cover.
So it won't be a blowout, but we do think they're going to cover. Western Carolina, at NC State. NC State's giving 42.5 points, and we do like Western Carolina to cover that. Just think it's too many points. You get this so much early in the season, and the problem with a big line like 40, 50 points, if the team getting the points has any kind of weird play like a fumble return for a touchdown or a kickoff return or punt, it's almost impossible for the favorite to cover it, and we like Western Carolina getting the 42.5. Northern Illinois University at Utah. Utah is minus 21.5, and we do like Utah to cover that at home.
I really like NIU. I think they're a pretty good Group of 5 team, but Utah's a really good Power 5 team. They got a great defense.
They could win the Pac-12
Yeah, I
this
mean,
year.
they're definitely
That's
favored
how
in
good
the
they
Big
are.
12. So I think we got them covering this week.
Looks like USF at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is giving 6.5 points, and USF, we like covering that one.
Right. You know, USF looked absolutely pitiful last week. Charlie Strong's squad. And Georgia Tech, you know, they had to play the number 1 team in the country in Clemson, and I believe they scored 14 points. They had a couple of interceptions. I think they're just a better team, but USF should cover this one.
Southern Miss at Mississippi State, so kind of got an in-state rivalry here. Mississippi State's minus 17. We like Southern Miss covering that one. Moving on to probably the second biggest game of the week, I would say. Texas A&M at Clemson. Clemson is minus 17.5, so pretty big number against the Aggies, but we do like the Aggies to cover.
Yeah. You know, earlier in the week, before their game started last Thursday, I was kind of thinking Clemson would win and maybe win big, but I really liked what the Aggies put on the field on Thursday night. I know it was against Texas State, but they really, Kellen Mond went out and had a great game, and those receivers are huge. They got a great defense. I think they're going to at least cover that spread. I still think Clemson will win, but I think they're going to cover that 17.5 spread.
I got another interesting game. This is an old Big 12 matchup. actually an old Big Eight matchup.
Right.
Nebraska at Colorado. Nebraska's -4 on the road, and we do like Nebraska to bounce back in a big way. I know they did win last week, but it was kind of a head scratcher because they needed some big plays to even win the game. We do like them to cover on this one, though, -4 at Colorado.
Yeah.
Richmond and Boston College. We like Boston College a lot, and they are giving up a big number against Richmond, 33.5, but we do like them to cover. Illinois at UConn. Illinois is -20 in this game on the road, and we like Illinois to cover. They seem like they've really Lovie Smith has got them going in the right direction. They're actually one of those schools, along with Rutgers and maybe a few other ones. Maryland's really been on the rise for a while now, but where they're starting to compete, in the Big Ten. And I think this could be a year where they make a little bit of noise, and we do like them covering against UConn. Eastern Illinois at Indiana. Indiana's given up a lot of points, 35.5. We like Eastern Illinois covering in that one.
Yeah. I do think Indiana looked really good last week, but again, that 5-touchdown mark, they're going to have to score more than 5 touchdowns, and that's just really hard for a team to do. So,
the Big Ten overall is just really looking solid this year, top to bottom. Central Michigan at Wisconsin, another Big Ten school. Wisconsin's given up 5 touchdowns at -35, and we do like them to cover.
Yeah.
New Mexico State at Alabama. I kind of figured this would be a no line, but there's a line on it. It's -55. But we like the Aggies to cover that.
Right. I mean,
too many points.
You start getting into the
50s.
high 40s, really the 40s in general, and then now in the mid-50s, 55 points. I mean, Tua probably won't be playing in the second half. I just don't see how they could possibly cover 55 points.
Murray State at Georgia, another huge one, -50. We like Murray State to cover for exactly the same reasons Drew just said. University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA at Baylor. Baylor's -25.5 points.
Yeah.
In Waco, we like Baylor covering that.
Yeah, I like that number.
Baylor, their offense looks good again.
It looks great, and they got a veteran quarterback in Charlie Brewer. They got some great wide receivers.
Yeah, they're one of those teams too that can make some noise.
That number 25.5 right below the 4-touchdown mark. I really like it. I think they're going to cover pretty easily.
San Diego State at UCLA. UCLA's -7.5 points. On that one there, Drew. I don't think we actually had that one picked yet, did we? No, that one we didn't. On that one, we are going with San Diego State getting the 7.5. We didn't actually have that one marked up here. We have them getting the 7.5 points, San Diego State. UCLA, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, when you're a passing team and you get 160 yards passing, that's a problem.
Yeah, they just have no offense at all. Their defense doesn't look horrible, but it's still not great. And, I just think they're going to have trouble covering that point spread.
Moving on, we got Arkansas at Ole Miss. So we got us a SEC matchup. We like Arkansas getting the points. They're getting 7 points in that game. Ole Miss is -7. We like Arkansas covering that.
Yeah, Ole Miss, let's just be real, they did not look very good last week. They played Memphis, which is a great team, but they didn't look very good on offense. And I think Arkansas is going to be not a great team this year, but maybe a bowl-eligible team. I really like what they got going on defense. Their middle linebacker looks to be the real deal. They do have a new quarterback, Chad Morris, brought in from SMU. I think they're going to cover that spread.
Tulane at Auburn staying in the South. Auburn, I think, is one of those teams that, depending on how the quarterback situation, freshman Nix, if he continues to, he's been doing great, but if he continues that upward rise, they might actually make some noise in the SEC. We like them giving 18 points to Tulane. We like them covering that. University of Tennessee Martin's at Florida, so we're staying in the South again. This is another huge line game, 42.5 points. We like University of Tennessee Martin to cover that.
Right.
The highlight game of the week, LSU at Texas. This is one of my lock picks. We got Texas covering.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to win, and I don't think they will win, but I think they will cover the 6.5.
Yeah, I like Texas earlier in the season to have a chance in this game, and they definitely have a great chance to win this game. The only thing that I'm a little worried about with the Longhorns is their depth at running back. They've lost a lot on running back. In fact,
they basically don't have any depth.
I mean, they had about 6 guys on scholarship. They've lost 5 of those 6 guys, and they've got 1 running back left. Hopefully, they're gonna have to lean on him a whole lot in this game to not only cover that spread, but really have a chance to win this game.
But that's one of our locks, UT. Eastern Michigan and Kentucky. Kentucky is giving 15 points. We like them to cover in that game. Texas Tech and UTEP. I got them reversed on the board for some reason. They are playing in Lubbock. It's not on the road. Texas Tech is giving 34 points, and we like them to cover. It's a lot of points, but from what I've seen so far from the Red Raiders, I think they're going to have enough offense, and UTEP's just not looking good this year. I know they didn't last year either.
Yeah, Tech's one of those teams. They're just so explosive on offense. I know they got a new coaching staff in there, but they got Bowman coming back. They got some good running backs and some great receivers. Their O-line looks great so far.
And their defense, looks better.
Appears to have stepped up a notch.
Yeah.
And I think that, right below that 5 touchdown mark is a great place for that game.
Yep. Here's another great game. This is a ACC matchup of 2 teams that people are having a lot of excitement about. Miami, they had some excitement. They did lose to Florida in the week 0, but Miami at North Carolina. I know everybody's excited about Mac Brown. Miami's giving 4 points at North Carolina, but we like the Hurricanes to cover that 4 points.
This to me almost is like a lock in my opinion. I feel really confident Miami's going to go to North Carolina and win the game. I know North Carolina looked pretty good last week, but I think they're going to come off an emotional type of game where they beat, South Carolina. And I think Miami's going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after having lost Florida in the way that they did, giving up 10 sacks to Florida to lose that game. And, so I really think they're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder and win that game by more than 4 points.
Speaking of locks, here's another one of our locks. This is Stanford or USC. USC's only given up 1 point. They're playing in Los Angeles. We like Stanford to cover that and actually to win outright.
Right. This is one of those games. I believe KJ Costello and the USC quarterback, they're both out right now, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think a game like this comes down to coaching. And
Stanford looked pretty good last week.
I really like David Shaw. He's kind of been one of those coaches that has created a consistent program in the Pac-12. They play great defense. They always have great O-lines. I think they can go down to USC and win that game. And the line's 1 point. I think they're definitely going to cover that spread.
Going back to the Midwest, Western Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan State is giving 16 points. They're minus 16. We like them to cover that. That one's a little iffy just because Michigan State, their offense, they're a super defensive team. In fact, they may be the best defensive team in the nation. Their offense sometimes gets a little sluggish.
Right.
But I still think they're going to cover the 16.
When you get a spread kind of like that, like Vince was saying, the defensive line might be the best I've ever seen. I mean, I'm being straight up. They gave up, was it negative 73 rushing yards last week? A game like this could come down to a pick 6 that turns into 7 points or something like that. Even if Michigan State's offense isn't able to generate a whole lot of points, I think the defense is going to be able to create enough plays that they're going to cover that spread.
Back out the Pac-12, California at Washington. Washington's giving 14 points, so they're minus 14. We like Cal to cover that, so on the road.
Yeah, Cal's got a great defense, but I think Washington, I may even stay away from this game. I think Washington's going to win about 28-14, which is technically covering that 14-point spread, but I don't think they're going to win by a whole lot more than that just because of how good Cal's defense is going to be this year.
Moving on to one of our other locks. Actually, this is the last game. Coastal Carolina at Kansas. And we like Kansas. That's one of our locked picks. They're minus 7.5.
Right.
I think their offense is going to bounce back a little bit. I know it was a little on the rough side this last week with Les Miles, but I think they can handle that. I mean, we're talking, I'm thinking they're going to win 14 to 18 points probably.
Yeah, this game, it started off a little bit. This spread's bounced around a whole lot too. I think, earlier in the week it was around 10 points. Now it's starting to kind of crawl down to that 7.5 point range. I really like Kansas in this game.
Yeah.
I think
I do
they're going
too.
to cover. So,
well, guys, that's about it. We're going to be bringing some more videos to you. Like, share, hit the little bell button so
Right.
you'll know when we got new ones coming up, because we're having a lot of new college football material coming up here in the next, definitely here in the next few weeks. But we appreciate y'all very much. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.